Hello there, it's VJ Franz K. I'm looking at this strange creature I made as a warm-up, just getting ready to do something in SculptrVR. And now I'll start a new scene. I can have an empty scene or procedural. It'll make scenery for me in the background. But I just want a nice empty scene, yes. So here in the list of layers, if you want to make layers, it's a good thing to press the plus button here, add a sub-layer to this is the entire document that we're dealing with. So here's a sub-layer, and then I could add another sub-layer inside that if I want to, but I don't need that at this point. Yeah, that seems fine. And if I want to make a mirror mode object, then I would turn on the mirror right here, and then everything I do on this side would be mirrored over on this side. And I think I wanted to make a statue, like maybe a mysterious statue or a totem pole or something like that. So basically an ancient figure of some kind. So I'll do this, and I've selected this smooth, and I'll show you what that does in just a minute. But right now I'm going to add a sphere of material, and I'll change the color of the material. If I want stone, maybe I will have a flat colored gray thing. And this is a three-dimensional color selection, so raise it from the bottom to the top to make it light or dark, and then move around in here to make it different rainbow colors, or up at the top for gray. Start with kind of a dark gray. What I'm doing right now is I'm adding a spherical sort of shape to the thing. Adding. And SculptrVR, which is it was originally on the PC, and then they ported it to the PS4, and it's cool that they did, because there should be more art programs on the PS4. Give everybody who is a gamer a chance to be creative and make their own new things. So I thought I would have this figure be at least a couple of different faces stacked up to get that sort of weird feel to it of being like a tower or a combination or something like that. So maybe I will do the shape for 3 heads here. Just mold them out as blobs or something. It is easy to get a lot of really bizarre shapes when you are using this. If you're used to drawing with a pen and paper, something like that, it's more like clay. But it doesn't obey all the rules of clay either. It's got its own thing going on. So now, those things are pretty bizarrely blobby, and I'll show you. But we can smooth them out using the smoothing brush. Looks like an iron, and I can change the size of the smoothing too. If you're in a detail-oriented stage, maybe use a smaller brush. See how that is taking out some of that unnecessary edge shaping there. Yeah. And also on the PC we have other things that allow you to sculpt. For example, Oculus Medium, which works kind of like this. And let's see. So that's looking rather good. Maybe I'll build out. We'll try a different brush, this blocky sort of brush, and see. It's just making these sort of rounded cube. Well, look at that. A face is already appearing out of it before I even knew what to expect there. So let's go with that. And maybe I'll have some wings or something, just going off to the side. Instead of making some specific object, especially early on when you're getting used to these apps, it may be easier to just let your imagination be the guide rather than deciding, oh, I'm going to model a particular video game character that I like or something like that. That can be helpful to have a goal in what you're doing, but it can also hold you back, because then you're always trying to live up to that template instead of going where your heart's desire or your strange images are just popping up, you know? So maybe if we're going to have all of this decoration on this face, maybe I'll do a little sort of punk rock or something type of thing going on here. My tracking is going out a bit. The PSVR is not quite as precise as the PC solutions for these things, so if you're used to that, it can be a melt those shapes in there a bit. Take off those edge joints. And let me just show you. Now that we have a bit of a shape here, this smoothing mode, see, if I change this from that round line, it can be pixels. And then you can see this sort of thing. Voxels is what they're called. They're volumetric pixels. But change that to this sort of edgy thing, and it's a little bit smooth, but a little bit edgy. For certain types of materials, that might be the perfect look. And then here is the most rounded, once again. For an organic object like a creature or a statue or something like that, maybe this is the perfect mode to use. So make it a little bit finer detail on that melting brush. And you can even use the melting brush to do things like sharpen. If you get the right size for the purpose. Sharpen the things down a bit. And there's also, see, I haven't totally got the hang of all of this yet, but there's also the deflate, bulge or deflate. And right now, I want to deflate. Oh, wait a minute. I'm doing the bulge. Go back, go back, go back. Got undos on this palette. All right. And then I'll do switch to deflate mode. Now I'm deflating. Ah, yeah. Now that is a good way to sharpen out some edges or whatever. But obviously don't do it too much, or just like with whittling, you'll whittle your thing down to nothing left. Well, I don't know. Maybe that improved things a bit. Back to the smoothing brush. Smooth this area out a bit. Oh, that's too much. Because it sort of looks like he has a nose there. And I don't want to destroy the impression of that. Then this is some sort of weird mouth or tongue details here. Use just a little bit of smoothing there and sharpen it. See. Maybe I need to subtract away some things. Go back to the regular brush, sphere, reduce the size. Then carve away, but maybe what I really want is not the sphere, but a small cube. Help me get a flat, oops. Step back. At least with computer modeling you have undos, whereas with, okay, so switch from sculpt to carve. There we go. Carving away at it a little bit. If you've ever made with clay, you know that you can make and make and make and make, and then pretty soon you can screw it all up by not being careful. So, just sort of getting the impression that these things are like weird feathers or fins or something. Make this larger. Then I'll polish away some of the, polish away some of the side thing. Yep, just gone. And be thinking about this. I'm thinking of the PS4 Dreams, which is coming out quite soon. And that has a similar sort of modeling with adding and subtracting and adding and subtracting until you get just the right shape. So just start thinking of positive and negative shapes, and that will take you far. Don't really like this sort of blobby shape here, so. Oh, but carving into it, that all of a sudden is creating another interesting sort of face shape. So maybe I'll keep doing that. And these, they look like eye sockets on some sort of a ghost or a hooded figure or something like that. Interesting. So now, go back there, more smoothing, change the size down, shaping, everything, so edges, get that area. Modeling with voxels. It's its own thing. It's not really the same as pixel art or at first I thought that SculptrVR was a pixel editor, you know, like some of these apps which are designed for pixel art. But there is a lot of complexity that is under the surface here. So consider that when you're doing your things. When you use the tools, it'll add more detail to the model if it needs to. So just keep that in mind. All right, I'm thinking probably add some eyes to these guys, of course. Just thinking what other features might emerge. Maybe some extra pieces, but maybe I'll do at least one more layer so I can have two layers together, or if your shapes are kind of distinct from each other, you might want to have them on separate layers. And thinking in layers is another really, really good thing for any kind of digital art or whatever. Think logically. How would I separate a picture or a figure or whatever I'm doing? How would I separate that into several useful groups, layers, whatever? Just anytime you're doing a picture or a graphic design or anything, you're organizing the world, a small part of the world. That's your area. And when you're in charge, it helps to have a sort of guiding idea behind everything. Maybe I will add in other details with a different color of stone. That might be interesting. So I will go into layers and then add another layer. So that is layer 1.2. And make it rounded yet again. I'll try using this puck-shaped brush, and I could do him some eyes that way. Why not try it? Why not try it? Because if you have it separate layers, you can always delete from there. And I will turn on the mirror mode again, because particularly humanoid figures and animals, but a lot of things you might want to have mirror symmetry on them. So now sort of a brighter white color, or off-white, you might say. Lower it down a little bit there. My big problem is I'm a perfectionist, and it's hard to get perfection on things when you're just learning. Much better to just mess around, have some fun, and put away such ideas that will get in your way. Do you know what I'm saying? If I gave him horns, maybe it's too menacing. Maybe what I really want is antenna. Like something going forward. Oh, that's still menacing. That's goat-style horns, I guess. You know, I don't like this so far. We'll delete layer 1.2. Then add a new layer 1.2. What other details? I think we'll go ahead and add some eyes, but maybe I will just take a little bit out of there for the suggestion. Yeah, I'll try the deflate mode. The suggestion of eye sockets. Oh wait, but I'm inflating. I'll go back to the deflate. Look at that. Maybe I'll deflate him some jawbone structure there. It's turning into a face before our eyes. And some mouth structure, maybe. This is where, as it takes on a human appearance, then it gets harder and harder to get it exactly right, but oh well. So now try inflating this region. Inflate this region. And look at that. He's got more of a nose now. Then go back, deflate. Small area. Yeah. Take away from the side there. Then take away a bit from the underside. Look at that. It's sort of a monster face. Or just, he's got a sort of bony look to him. Like a skeleton almost. And skeletons are sinister looking, but just as you're drawing or modeling or doing whatever, just remember that every human figure has a skull inside, and that skull is guiding the shape of the skin and everything else that you see. But by thinking of the body structure underneath the layers, that gives you a greater understanding of how everything works. And human figures are some of the things that we most want to draw because we're human. We're drawn to other humans. But there's so much fine detail that if you get it wrong, they really look wrong. So-called uncanny valley idea. And a lot of video games and 3D movies suffer from this sort of uncanny valley situation, where it looks almost human, but not quite, and that bothers you when you see it. And yes, we can paint on this too, which I'll try, but let's see, we'll go to layer 1, 2. Let's make them some eyes. And in fact, I can go to this, then raise this up, high up, make it white, but then shiny. Oops, wait, I'm subtracting away or some other thing. Let's just make sure I'm on layer 1, 2. Always know what layer you're editing, whether it's Photoshop or whatever. I don't know, the shiny. Oh wait, and I didn't do the mirror mode either, so he would only have one eye. I don't know, the shiny mode is too shiny. It's going to be really distracting. So we'll just do, oh wait, and this is like self-illuminated. Maybe a bit larger. Then this thing, wow, huge, bulging eyes. Then this, what is going on here? Maybe I would even give him rounded cube eyes, just to go along with this unusual type of look that he has. It's not so easy to make that work. Oh, diamond eyes. Kind of like that idea. More outward. No. Just looks like a couple of ice cubes. Okay, that's interesting. Who knows? There could be more faces in this figure later on. All right. I've gotten up to this stage, and before I start painting on this figure, maybe I will save the scene, save new, or same file, and you can export to online, which I'll do at the end. But saving, don't quit. Save complete. Oh, I see, scatter. So you can scatter your cubes if you want. Oh, I see, snapping stretchable box. Different ways to do things. Make these elongated lines. Sword. Wonder what that does. Oh, maybe it slices away at everything. Now that he's saved, I'll try the sword. Why not? And this layer, layer 1. Oh, I see. It's interesting. It is a, quote, double-edged sword. So I can use sword-shaped. I can add sword-shaped lines to my thing if I want, or then set it on carve. Wow. Just cut right through him. Too bad. But I don't have to worry because we have a saved version to go back to. So after all of this chaos has happened, I guess it did it in a mirror mode because the mirror mode is still engaged. Cut away this layer, but see, this second layer is independent of what I was doing with the first layer. So it's not affected by what I just did. My scene now load. Recent. This is the one. Brought him right back. I'll paint. Paint on him with red, maybe, or orange. Orange. Wait, gotta select that right layer. Here. Oh, I see. When it loaded, my mirror mode wasn't automatically active. It is throwing something off to use this paint which doesn't have any shading on it. It's kind of cool, but to use this paint which has no shading on it on a surface that does have shading on it. Wow, is it glowing? It is glowing. I guess they give it a little bit of oscillation there just to give you the idea. I'm actually starting to like that. Try the smoothing brush and see what happens here. Interesting what that does. But let's see what the difference is if I use regular colored orange on there. It is more believably part of him. Or them, as the case may be. This is a figure with 3 faces in one. Who knows what sort of different personality. They all might have a different personality. I really like making up stories for the characters. That's fun. Don't know if the orange stands out enough. Maybe I do like that glowing orange after all. All right, We'll do load him again. Red-orange color, size down. It would be kind of cool. Oh wait, I'm drawing lines into space here. Back. I want to paint the figure. Here's another thing. Before I paint lines on him, maybe I'll go in and paint some other dark areas just to make stone look a bit... Oops. That explains a thing or three. I was in layer 2 with the eyes. Early on I noticed that the blending brush also blends the colors that you're dealing with. So that could be useful or problematic depending on what you're doing. Okay, that just gave it a bit of variation. More convincingly stone. Paint. Could it be it's not as good as the first time I drew it? Sometimes you gotta know when to follow your gut. Really, I could have saved an alternate version before I did all of this. Or before I erased the last version. Oh, that's nice. Sort of brings out the edges of his nose there. Whatever this is, his third eye or something. But let's not forget, that's not his third eye. If you count all of them together, that's his seventh eye. Interesting. Yes, I like SculptrVR, and definitely if you have a PlayStation VR setup, it's another one of these affordable apps, so you have no reason not to have it and enjoy being creative between blowing up alien planets and all of those other things that you wanted to do with your PS4. Interesting. Maybe a bright blue color down here for the second figure. This blue. Oh, I see. There's a blend paint selection right here. Oh, I see. We get a separate thing for blending. Oops. Go back, go back, go back, go back. Didn't want to ruin his face paint job. Oh well. Who knows what I'm actually doing here? I don't know, but just going along with things. Maybe. I see it saved my recent colors. That's nice. Go back up here to the yellow or orange. Make it larger. I'm not spraying the color onto the surface. I really am applying it to the surface. This molding. Can hear the fan of my PlayStation 4 Pro kind of chugging with the more complexity I add to the model. It's hard to get that right. So I am using the paintbrush, but it may be changing the geometry of the surface ever so slightly as I'm putting these lines on. Okay. Purple. Doesn't look right. Red. Might be too bright. Going to readjust my mask for a minute here. Interesting. Bend down to work on this. Hope my tracking can handle it. This is the sort of line work that I enjoy doing on paper a lot of the time, but how interesting to paint it right onto the surface of this sculpture. Getting really drawn into this, as I should, or drawn into painting it, right? That's cool. Oh yeah. And then if they each have like one of these feather spikes in their color. Bring this down here. Connect up the lines. Adjusting my helmet once again. Eyes are losing focus a bit here. It's not bad at all. A little more detail on this face, which initially it was looking like a monster, but it's sort of got the face of an old woman now or something like that. Somehow it does. Maybe she's wearing square glasses. Times like this are why I had to get into VR art. It's just so interesting. And I'm getting spinning beach balls and stuff like that, so my time with desktop art has shown me if you're getting spinning markers and stuff like that, maybe it's time for a save. Go ahead and add one more layer here, 1-3, and maybe this will be the pupil of their eye. Sphere or puck. Shrink it down. Make it flat black. No. Set it very carefully. Are these better with eyes that don't have pupils? What do you think? We'll leave them empty and white like that. That might be the thing to do. Is there anything else I want to do? Maybe add some magical lines around them or something like that. We have layer 3 here. Might as well do that. What am I doing? Oh, an extendable cylinder, I see. A tube or a torus. Magical lines going outward. Wish we could vary the brush width by how much pressure. This might be good enough. Maybe just a little bit more, paint on layer 1. There it is. Of course, I'm finally get the hang of the way this should look right near the end. Isn't that the way it always is? What's happening over here? How weird. It's changing depending on where I look. Just like the quantum simulation theory, right? But people are basing aspects of that theory based on our simulation technology. And it's an interesting theory, and nobody can really disprove it, because if we are in a simulation, we probably can't get out of it. But at the same time, it's also kind of naive to assume that the complexity of a simulated world would have to be bound by the ability of our simple computer systems. Just a few decades ago, stuff like we're doing right here would have required, well, as much computing power as a supercomputer and controller technologies that didn't even exist, so you couldn't have had them at any price at that time. And now we're just, we have them and we're taking them for granted. We're using the internet to photograph cats and other things. And it's just this amazing possibility of knowledge. You should have fun with it, have fun with your life, but just stop to consider all that you could be doing with the things that we are offered. It's sometimes it's a little bit daunting. You have so many choices of what you really could be involved with. And that's one of the reasons why my channel has so many different types of things on it. Because I keep discovering new things or new directions to get excited about. The lines are shuffling around a bit, which makes me wonder maybe there is too much complexity being added to this picture. But we can try other colors for those eyes. Yeah. Sounds like a plan. Going to go into the scene, going to save, and the save as same file. So that's just save rather than save as. Now go in here, save complete. Layer 1, 2, was it? Is their eyes. Now I'll go on there and try painting shiny white, shiny silver. Oops. Interesting. Why did it do that? It's kind of cool though. Just this layer of silver paint that suddenly went over everything. Go back. And that is because I'm on layer 1.1. Oh, silly me. Okay. We'll just scene, load, recent. Some other stuff I edited. Looks kind of cool. Even has some back detail there. It's all looking good. Now this time, go on there, make sure it's mirrored, and then go to 1, 2, and ha! Oops. So instead of adding to the geometry, paint silver. Interesting. Maybe a darker color of silver. Or yellow. Bright yellow? That's green anyway. When everything is so shiny, it's hard to tell what color it is. Shiny dark. So they'd be almost like sunglasses, but just... That is sort of an alien eye look to it. Lighter gray. Maybe that's right. My detail meter is still near the bottom. Wonder why the PlayStation was chugging so much. Alright, it's good to know that I have that much detail left. Scene, save. I'll save to my online number 2. This has been an interesting project, wouldn't you say? I've enjoyed it. I'll come back and do another sculpture at some time. Thank you for watching. This has been VJ Franz K once again in PlayStation Virtual Reality.